Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Let's just dive right in today because honestly, we're going to tear down pretty much everything you thought you knew about staying safe. When most people hear the phrase self-protection, their minds immediately jump to physical stuff, right? They picture martial arts classes, pepper spray, maybe some intense tactical gadget. But what if I told you that entire paradigm is fundamentally flawed, literally backwards? What if I told you that the vast majority of dangerous situations are actually won or lost long before anyone even throws a punch? Today, we're exploring full-spectrum self-protection, and as you'll see, true safety isn't really about what's in your hands, it's about what's in your head. So, I want to pose a direct question to you right off the bat. What is the absolute most important self-defense skill? We've all been conditioned by Hollywood, right? We're taught to believe it's the ability to pull off a perfect roundhouse kick or, disarm an attacker in a split second. But let's step out of the movies and into reality for a minute. Think about it. What actually keeps you safe, day in and day out? Well, here's the crazy part. It's not fighting, it's awareness. And I know that sounds simple, but it's a complete paradigm shift. Awareness is the single most important skill in personal protection. Why? Because it lets us spot potential threats early. It helps us make better decisions on the fly. It actually empowers us to avoid danger completely whenever possible. And look, if a confrontation is truly unavoidable, awareness buys us the one thing we need more than anything else: time. Okay, so here's our quick roadmap for The Explainer. We're going to hit 4 main points. First, the myth of self-defense. Second, mastering your external environment. Third, listening to internal awareness. And finally, tying it all together with the ultimate feedback loop. All right, kicking things off with part 1, the myth of self-defense and shifting that paradigm. The main thing to remember here is that predators absolutely thrive on targets who are in a distracted state. People staring down at their phones, wearing noise-canceling headphones, just completely tuned out. So our very first step is just waking up. Which brings us right to part 2, mastering your external environment, or the outside world. This is really the first pillar of our framework. It's all about this continuous, active process of observing your surroundings. And when you're evaluating a situation, remember this rule of thumb. Faces are great for conversation, but hands reveal the truth. We naturally look at people's faces, right? It's human nature. But faces rarely tell you what matters most when a situation starts getting a little sketchy. Hands are what grab, hands strike, and hands are what conceal weapons. Paying attention to this builds into some highly actionable intelligence. Violent encounters almost always give off subtle clues before they kick off. You're looking for these pre-violence indicators, like are they hiding one hand? Are they constantly adjusting their clothing or doing this nervous touch toward their waistband? Does a hand suddenly disappear behind their back? These little details matter. Now, obviously, the vast majority of people are completely harmless, but observing these subtle clues of intent in someone's hands, that often reveals their game plan long before they ever say a single word. Now, we also need to completely rethink our physical space. Most of us just walk around seeing mundane objects, but a trained mind, it sees strategic value. Look, if you're facing an aggressor, your goal is not to win a mixed martial arts tournament. Your goal is to create time and distance. So suddenly, a parked vehicle isn't just a car anymore. It's a barrier. A cafe table becomes a shield. A doorway? That's a bottleneck that keeps you from getting surrounded. Even a simple chair is just a fantastic distance management tool. Anything that slows an aggressor down gives you precious time to think and react. So, practicing external awareness really just teaches you to constantly ask this one vital question: what around me can help me if things go wrong? It's actually a pretty fun mental game you can play anywhere. If you ask yourself this question while you're perfectly calm, you start identifying your options, your barriers, and your improvised resources way before any panic sets in. Because let me tell you, when panic sets in, your decision-making slows to an absolute crawl. This means whenever you walk into a new environment, just casually scan for exits. Doors, stairwells, open pathways. And if you do have to escape, you want to move towards strategic destinations. Well-lit areas, places with lots of people, locations with witnesses. Interestingly enough, this isn't because we're hoping some brave stranger is going to jump in and save us. This psychology is much simpler than that. Predators violently dislike attention. They want privacy. They want control without witnesses. So by simply moving toward light and people, you instantly become a highly unattractive target. And if escape is somehow cut off, that's when we look to those improvised options we talked about. Chairs, a heavy water bottle, a super bright flashlight, throwing up a backpack to use as a shield. Even umbrellas, pens, walking sticks, or fire extinguishers. And look, identifying these objects isn't about being paranoid or going around looking for a fight. Honestly, far from it. It's just about becoming adaptable. It's recognizing that your environment is literally packed with tools that can disrupt an attack or protect you when you really need it. All right, shifting gears to part 3, listening to internal awareness, or the inside world. Okay, really think about this for a second, because this blew my mind. The human brain is basically the ultimate pattern recognition machine. Every single second, your subconscious nervous system processes an estimated 11 million bits of information. 11 million. Meanwhile, your conscious mind, it processes about 40 bits per second. So to put that into perspective, your subconscious is streaming 4K video while your conscious mind is still running on 1990s dial-up internet. This means your body notices danger way before your conscious mind can even articulate what's wrong. And that brings us to the famous gut feeling. We've all been there, right? You walk into a room, or maybe you pass someone on the street, and your stomach just drops. You feel uneasy, but you literally cannot explain why. Now, society kind of teaches us to dismiss this. We tell ourselves, oh, I'm just being silly, or I'm being irrational. But guys, your gut feeling is quite literally your nervous system frantically waving a red flag. It's doing that because it saw something in those 11 million bits of data that your 40-bit conscious mind completely missed. The first sign of danger is almost always felt rather than seen. When that subconscious alarm goes off, your body dumps adrenaline. You know the feeling: increased heart rate, a tight stomach, rapid breathing, muscle tension, maybe your palms get sweaty. And a lot of people feel this and immediately start to panic. They think adrenaline is the enemy. But we actually need to reframe this completely. Adrenaline is a vital survival tool. Think of it like a sudden battery power-up in a video game. It's your body physically preparing you for action. It's gearing you up to move, to escape, or to protect yourself. So instead of ignoring that rush of adrenaline or trying to just push down that gut feeling, actively investigate it. Ask yourself, what am I reacting to? What has my body noticed? What am I missing right now? Please don't dismiss your internal alarms. Do a quick, deliberate scan of your external environment to figure out exactly what triggered your highly advanced 11 million bit subconscious radar. Which perfectly sets up part 4, the ultimate feedback loop, or synthesis. This is where we bring the whole shebang together. Think about it. Someone who only watches their surroundings might completely ignore their own internal warning bells. On the flip side, someone who only trusts their feelings without looking at reality might misinterpret a totally harmless situation. The magic happens when we combine the two, using the situational awareness loop. It's the seamless, continuous process. Step 1, you observe your environment. Step 2, you assess what you see. Step 3, you feel your internal physiological response to it. Step 4, you verify those feelings by looking a bit closer at the environment. And step 5, you adapt your behavior. You cross the street, you find an exit, or maybe you just pull a cafe table between you and the threat. Now, I know constantly analyzing exits and watching people's hands might sound a little intense to some. But remember, awareness is not paranoia. Awareness is preparation. The goal here is absolutely not to walk around living in fear. The goal is simply to recognize problems early enough that you still have a menu of options. You can reposition yourself, you can leave the area, you can avoid the threat entirely. I want to leave you with this absolutely powerful quote from our source material. The best fight is the one you saw coming early enough to avoid altogether. I mean, that really hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? That is the true essence of full-spectrum self-protection. It's really not about being the toughest person in the room. It's about being the most observant. So, I'm gonna leave you with this final provocative thought to take with you today. The next time you enter a room, what is your body gonna tell you? Are you gonna be stuck looking down at your phone? Or are you gonna listen to that 11 million bit supercomputer in your head? Pay attention to the hands, find your exits, always trust your gut, and stay safe. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep your eyes open.